Hey, BrickManiacs! Welcome back to a special episode of BrickMania TV. I have Matt from BrickMini joining me. You guys may know him as the creator of the Nano Soldiers. So BrickMini makes these Nano Soldiers that are not only compatible with the Micro Brick Battle system, but are also, compatible with a variety of micro mocks that you might want to create. Matt, for those who are maybe not so familiar with BrickMini or its origins, tell me a little bit more about yourself and kind of how this came to be.
Yeah, so honestly, it kind of started with this kind of passion to create a Kickstarter. Honestly, I was really interested in Kickstarter when it uh, started up, and I really wanted to kind of see what it was all about. And I actually started making little like metal tools and stuff. And of course, my big sister's has been in the Lego crowd for a long time, and I've always been into Lego, but I was always kind of scared about the process of injection molding. But as I kind of got more mature and more uh, familiar with manufacturing methods, I felt like I was more comfortable seeking out a manufacturer and understanding the methods that it took to create injection molded products. And yeah, I felt like it just made sense to go with something that was brick compatible because uh, I'm very familiar with that space. And at the same time, I grew up at the time of like Mighty Max and Polly Pocket and like, micro machines. And I absolutely love micro things. Like it's one of my loves of life, and so I just felt, why not kind of take that passion and take the knowledge I was learning through manufacturing, kind of combine them together. Um, Obviously, I've made things that are kind of minifig scale with the chess sets, but and I kind of plan on doing both, a little bit of both. But I really have enjoyed designing these little nano figures, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Well, we definitely have seen kind of a rise of the infantry side of the micro building community, if you will, because previously, especially on the military side of things, it's pretty much only been represented in vehicles. Matt, I have to ask you though, just from a personal standpoint, did you ever have one of those like Star Wars helmets that opened up into a playset that had the micro figures on there?
Yes,
Because I will say,
definitely.
one of the
Oh my
fondest
goodness.
memories, right?
Yeah, the Micro Machine ones. Yeah, my favorite one. There was an Endor play set that had little booby traps for the ATSTs.
Hmm.
Like it had the swinging log trap,
And the
and
ones that roll.
at this scale, and yeah, that was one of my favorites for sure. And I had like the Hoth play set and the Death Star play set, and they all had little like triggering things. And yeah, absolutely one of my favorite toys.
I'm gonna have to fight back this wave of nostalgia because that's super super awesome to hear. Definitely something that was close to me as well. So obviously, phase one of Brick Mini is up off the ground. We have the Nano Soldiers. We have multiple different colors. We have the chess sets. We even have an excellent tanker piece that we can use on top of those micro brick battle tanks. You can either have the closed hatched or the open hatched. But you're here to tell us a little bit about phase two, what's coming next for Brick Mini. Why don't I give you some time now to talk about that?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, so obviously that first set was very reminiscent of your classic Green Army men. Like a lot of the poses, if you played with Green Army men as a kid, you recognize a lot of those poses. When I was designing those, though, I really had this idea of this kind of army of figures in different poses. And at the time, I didn't really have the space in that mold or those molds to put everything that I wanted. So um, this coming campaign is kind of a way for me to, take all those ideas that I had and release them as their own set. They're not so tied to the original Green Army men. So like I've got uh, figures in more varied poses. And yeah, I think I tried really hard to make poses that both worked for micro brick battles because I know that there is a community around that. But also I wanted poses that would be fun as, diorama pieces or, pieces that kind of could tell a story um, if you were into that sort of building. So yeah. Um, and as part of that, with the stretch goals, I wanted to introduce not just figures, but kind of accessories for those figures. So that's where the little machine guns come in, and like the bicycles and the motorcycles and sidecars and things like that.
Yeah, so you alluded earlier when we were talking about this to kind of your initial kind of interest in Kickstarter and getting this up off the ground. So obviously, BrickMini Phase 2 is being run through Kickstarter. That's where you can find this information and help get this into reality. I think people, especially from a mock building standpoint, are going to be really interested in kind of the versatility that Wave 2 gives you. You already kind of mentioned the bicycles and just some interesting things. And did I see flamethrowers in there as well?
Yeah, I've actually,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll I'll hold one up. It's probably not going to show perfectly there, but yeah, I'm actually using for that flamethrower some of the Lego pieces that I'm slightly modifying so that they connect and interface with the little figure. But yeah, yeah, flamethrowers. I was actually when I designed the flamethrower guy, I feel like I had an epiphany moment because I was just like, man, that would be so cool to have a little like take the Lego flame and stick it on the end of this little guy. And I know I've seen it done with like minifig scale flamethrowers, but I don't know. It's just very kind of an exciting like geek out moment for me.
Well, on the minifig scale, it's normally just kind of like the remnants of what's waiting before they fire the flamethrower. But you
Yeah,
put that
yeah.
thing on a BrickMini, it looks like they just fired that thing up to full power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
no, okay, yeah. So like we were saying, phase 2 is kind of up off the ground now on for Kickstarter. But like we were saying with the mock building side of things, you kind of initially worked with some components that, like you said, would transition into the micro brick battle community. Now you're looking to lean more into that micro scale mocks. Tell me a little bit more about some of the maybe feedback you had from the initial wave of BrickMini. What kind of set you on this path to be like, we need to add a little bit more diversity into what we have going on here?
Um, Honestly, a large part of it was, like I said, just I really wanted it. I I'm producing these first and foremost because it's something I really like, and I'm just like, man, that would be so cool if I had this little guy shooting a flame or riding a horse or whatever. But certainly, I've had kind of the community that has supported me has been really broad, and I'll be honest, it's been hard kind of juggling the feedback you get. So like I've had kind of feedback on all fronts suggesting, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I've kind of cherry picked the ones that I felt I was kind of like closest to, I guess that were most in line with what I had already planned and what I thought I could be passionate about and what I thought I could authentically like, produce, and
Sure.
actually make. Because there's also a lot of people who want something that just isn't feasible.
Right.
You know,
We
at
can
least
understand that a little bit.
with my knowledge, so I'm sure it's feasible, but it's like, cost and time and all those things. So yeah, I I wanted first and foremost, I guess, to make something that I know I could make at quality
Hmm.
rather than, maybe burrow down a rabbit hole and eventually come out with something that was subpar or substandard. And you guys have seen like the figures, I hope you guys have enjoyed the figures the first wave of figures that I made, so that's kind of the same quality that I'm going for. And I'm trying to push that bar a little bit further with each kind of wave.
Hmm.
So with this wave, I pushed it. Feel like, with subsequent waves, I'll try and push it a little bit more.
So for those who are interested in getting involved in Wave 2 that are excited about kind of this next level for Brick Mini, tell me a little bit more about what they can do, how they can get involved, and how they can help really.
Yeah. So first and foremost, uh, back to Kickstarter, right? I'm gonna be having some early bird specials. So if they're interested in getting a discount on top of the discount that they get from Kickstarter already, because the prices on Kickstarter are going to be discounted off of my intentional retail prices, but then the early bird prices will, be a further discount on that. Um, More so, if you think you have, friends and family, obviously that would have fun. I've had a lot of customers that, bought it during Christmas or Black Friday with the intention of stuffing it in someone's stocking or,
Yeah.
um, and honestly, I've seen just as much interest from, the younger crowd as I have from the older crowd,
Hmm.
because, like you and me, we we were talking about nostalgic toys and like really I've seen just from, people I know that like if they played with those kind of toys as a kid, their eyes kind of light up and they're like, oh man, like this is awesome. So
Right.
it's kind of a fun, even if you don't necessarily play with Lego per se, it's kind of a fun little desk toy, I guess.
Well, and the chess set alone too from phase one, that tells you a little bit more about some of the versatility that BrickMini has with that kind of stuff. I know obviously it interfaces with Lego perfectly well, but if you wanted to, you could just play a micro scale game of chess at that point,
Yes.
which would be
Pull out your
totally fun.
tweezers.
Right, totally fun in its own right. Yeah, so I mean, I guess back to Kickstarter. Watch what happens along the ways of phase two. I know that we have a couple of exclusive add-ons that are going to be able to be available through that Kickstarter as well. You guys may know Grasshopper Squadron on Instagram. Put together some models, etc., to be able to add on to that. Something that the people who are maybe truly Lego/military fans are looking forward to get their hands on. I understand it's a C-47 and a glider, but at two different times, correct?
Yeah, exactly. They'll be
Okay.
separate add-on products. Yeah, and this is in collaboration with BrickMania and also in collaboration with Grasshopper Squadron. Um, and we had kind of discussed some of the kits that we thought would work well as add-ons for this campaign, and those two, the glider and the C-47, seemed like really perfect just because
Paratroopers.
yeah, paratroopers for one thing, right? And then also just the fact that they were so heavily used and so closely tied to infantry units,
Mhm.
right? Um, so it just kind of felt right, I guess, for my. Plus, I have a few kits myself that I try and um, support these figures with, but I don't have any air units yet, so that seemed like a really fun kind of addition to the series. Yeah.
Yeah, so for the Lego purists who are maybe like, oh, we're going to add more to Lego now. Well, guess what? It interfaces beautifully, and not only that, but you can transition it to the military side of things as well. Get
Yeah.
yourself some bricks along with that Kickstarter. So very, very cool, man. I'm super excited to hear about phase two. I know before we started recording, I was saying from phase one, I picked up a set of the Black Soldiers. I've been using them for my own micro space exploration and mock building purposes, and I mean, they're just a ton of uses across the board. So I'm excited to see what comes. Anything else people should know about BrickMini or about this next phase of the Kickstarter before we sign off here?
That's a good question. I mean, uh, I don't, I'm not super public about myself and Brick Mini. I try and uh, keep it very professional. But yeah, Brick Mini is it's a small family business. I do it because I'm passionate about it, and I do it in my spare time. I don't make a whole lot of money off of it. I just do it because it's fun, and so same kind of methodology is in these Kickstarters. It you know it, I really need the community support because otherwise I just there's no way that I could do it myself. Um, but at the end of the day, like I you know not to be like self-aggrandizing, but I just love them. Like I'm super passionate about making them, and then just seeing them in your hands, like and holding it like close up to your face to look at all the details. It brings a smile to my face, and that's really at the end of the day what I want to provide other people. And I've seen it. I really think that if you aren't familiar with the products, then you know maybe go to a Brickmania store because you guys carry them on your shelves and you can
Sure,
look
you
at them
can
in
look at them.
person. And and I hope to kind of spawn the next generation so that they had that same like miniature nostalgia that I had growing up, um, with those like micro machine sets and other ones like that. So
Awesome. Yeah, very, very cool, man. I know that a lot of people who have gotten initially involved in the community will be really, really happy to hear that. And to be totally honest, I mean, at the end of the day, with as unexplored as the custom Lego community is, this is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to see, not only here at Brickmania, but I know the fans feel the exact same way. Having somebody like yourself doing something that they're passionate about that not only makes you happy about what you be able to see and put out in the community, but also clearly makes plenty of people happy when they're able to apply it to their own building hobby. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for joining me here very much. And of course, thank
thank
you
you,
all
Dylan.
very much for watching.